to talk a little about the transportation budget. This is big news right now. Right now, we're delivering the largest construction program in state history, about $5 billion worth of spending that support 49,000 jobs out there in the current two-year budget cycle. That's a big part of what's keeping people working right now, because in case you haven't noticed, there isn't a lot of development or construction going on out there. 81% of those projects from the 2003 and 2005 gas tax packages are either completed or under construction, and that includes the north-south corridor. All the federal stimulus projects that we accepted dollars for are currently underway. Right now, we're finishing projects under budget. Bids on average are coming in 17% under what we estimated them to be. We just had a really big project at Snoqualmie Pass that some of you may have seen. It's coming in 35 to 40% under budget. Now, number one, costs have dropped a lot, but number two, that's an indication of how hungry construction companies are, because they're basically, it's either that or lay people off. So it's a really good environment right now. So what that means is that we're able to get more projects done. Like, for instance, if you've seen that concrete overlay at 195 and Hatch that's going on there, that wouldn't have happened unless we were saving money on other projects. And again, that's real jobs in this community. The next slide shows that really good things are happening for Spokane, and John alluded to some of it. In the time I've been in the legislature serving as Vice Chair of Senate Transportation over the last 3.5 years, we've obtained $140 million in total funding for the north-south corridor. We just announced the other day that we've received a Tiger grant thanks to the support of Patty Murray, but also the fact that as a community we've come together around that project. If you've noticed, the 520, which is the floating bridge in Bellevue, got no money. And I had a chance to meet with Senator Murray the other day, and you know what? I think they're giving Seattle a message. Unless you guys stop fighting over the west side and the east side of the 520 floating bridge, we're not going to give you any money. But this community has really stepped behind it. So with that, many of you know we had the opening of Farwell to Francis, the northbound lanes, this summer. In 2011, we will be opening Wandermere to Farwell, which is 6 lanes. And then in 2012, Farwell to Francis, the southbound lanes, which is $35 million, is paying for. And then we have also obtained the money to completely engineer and buy the right-of-way for what we call the next piece of the 6-year solution. That means basically we'll be shovel-ready and ready to go in order to complete Francis to the river as a 4-lane facility. Now that's big, because when I knocked on doors on the north side here about 4 years ago, I would ask people about the north-south corridor, and people would start laughing, literally. Like, that's never going to happen. And of course, some of that stuff was already planned, but what I want to let you know is what we knew was if we started building it, got the community behind it, we would move forward. So this has been a big community effort. I take no credit for this. It's really the community, labor, businesses come in behind this, and in the end, you will have a true drivable solution. 195, this isn't just a south side issue, but all the development around 195, the Pullman Highway there, really makes it a real safety problem. You know that there were a couple of fatalities there last year. With John's help, we were able to get funding for $250,000 for a turn lane at Cheney Spokane Road, and then through the federal government working with them, we got $2 million for right-of-way acquisition and design. So that project will also be shovel-ready in the next biennium in order to put an interchange there. But eventually, what we have to do, if you've ever driven that, is we have to put about 3 interchanges there. So in total, though, what you need to know is that in this last 2-year budget, we have $230 million worth of your gas tax dollars in the budget for projects in the 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, and 9th. Because that's the main thing I heard from people when I was out talking to folks was, we need to start getting our fair share of gas tax dollars. And I'm telling you that that's something we've insisted on, and we're really turning the tide there. There are some challenges, however. People are driving less, and at the same time, gas tax revenues aren't going up. So gas tax and licensing revenues went down $168 million since we wrote this budget in March of last year. And over a 16-year period, which is what we are planning for, we lost about $500 million. Clearly, we're going to have to find new ways to look at funding transportation revenues. There are a couple of solutions. One is that DOT has not been immune, even though our budget's not hit as far as the general fund. We've gone through and done across-the-board reductions of both DOT and Department of Licensing that resulted in this last year in 65 million in savings and 300 million over the 60-year planning horizon. We've some specific things at DOT. We're eliminating management positions. We have hiring freezes in place at DOT and Department of Licensing. We eliminated a whole office that does nothing but plan large projects for the central Puget Sound and move some of those functions into other areas and just plain lay people off. We also have consolidated statewide administrative functions, and we're eliminating a number of smaller agencies that you folks don't see on a daily basis, so we can save some overhead. Department of Licensing, some of you will be noticing that we are closing 25 licensing offices across the state. We've closed 11 so far. I want to tell you that is kind of a NIMBY issue. When we close one in someone's town, they say, not mine. We say, well, we've looked at the data, and yours really doesn't support this. We only have a limited number of dollars. We have extended hours of what we call super centers, and now you can do a lot more online. The ferry system, you folks don't get involved with the ferry system a lot. John and I do, because we do subsidize that. We assigned a budget cut to the ferry system. We're putting a reservation system in place in order for them to become more efficient, and we're asking them not to do that internally, but to contract it out. We don't need more employees at the ferry system for a reservation system. Ticketmaster does a pretty good job. Let's figure out a way we can do that. We reduce some biodiesel mandates that reduce costs, and last of all, we're increasing fares on the ferry system. So that's transportation in general, pretty good news.